Hello there, brother. Today I want to take us through something of interest, the relationship between God and man. I know many people are usually apt, some of them are usually apt to blame God whenever you talk about the issue or the problem of sin. Say, well, it's all God's fault. Some people used to say that. If God wanted to make this world perfect, as the creator he was from inception, he should have just maybe have deleted sin from the equation from the beginning. Anyway, so let's talk about it. The relationship between God and man, and if God is responsible for the state of man and everything about it. This is it. When God made man, man was not like we are now. That's just the truth. In the Bible, in the book of Genesis, the Bible tells us that God looked at his creation, they were good. Every creation of God was good. If you see any evil in the world today, it was not how it was from the beginning, according to the Bible. The Bible says, and God looked at it, and it was good, including man. So from the beginning, it was all goodness. I'll also break it down for us further. Now, when man was made in his initial state, in the Adamic state, we were like kids, more like toddlers. A toddler is innocent. That doesn't mean he's perfect, that doesn't mean he cannot sin. He does not sin, or he doesn't do anything wrong. But because he's incapable of doing something wrong, he's incapable of comprehending what is evil, and because of that, he is actually as a result um is as a result innocent of evil. He cannot do evil, so he's incapable of committing sin. That was our state. The only thing, let's just say, if you tell your toddler, your child, don't take that knife, and the child takes the knife. If you were to discipline the child, spanking, not because the child took the knife really, because the child disobeyed your voice. The only instruction that every kid had or has, I will say that in the case of Adam, is just to obey the voice of their parents or guardian, whoever is bringing them up. Because these people know better, for they are only devoted to one thing, that is the safety and the growth of the child. Whenever a child does something that's called transgression, is that the child failed to listen to the voice of the guardian or the parent. Now, in this our own case with God, we are similar like that. When we were creating our Adamic state, we were just like that. The only law we had was just do not eat of this. God maintained a fellowship with us regularly. With Adam, then, that says God usually came and he had fellowship with Adam. So, and he will give Adam task. All Adam needed was just to do whatever God would ask him to do. Then it was just obeying the voice of the Lord. Our state didn't matter because sin was not in us, for we did not know. We were incapable of maybe committing sin, for we can comprehend what was evil. That was the Adamic state of man. Yes, sir. But when man fell, when man disobeyed God, God had two options. One is either he would delete man, like he would wipe away man, or he was going to restore man. But both of them were costly. This is it. God cannot just wipe away man and recreate another man, generation of man, because they would be less perfect. How do I mean? When God made man, man was what God intended man to be. So, I want to point out this before I proceed, that in the initial state, God does not judge man by his own standard. God has a higher standard, even our standard of being God. But just like our own case, we do not judge them by our own cloud. Whatever a child knows that is bad, is just what you tell him is bad. Even if it's good something, you tell the child this thing is bad, the child will believe it's bad. The only thing the child has is just the instruction you give him. That was our state. So between God and man, God couldn't have wiped out men, which he could. But if God were to maybe wipe out the first generation of men for sin, he cannot make the same exact people again. Because if Adam could sin in his state, and God were to make another person, they will also sin. How? If they didn't sin, that means something was wrong with Adam. I don't know if you get it, because I'm saying God is perfect. Unlike we that make things, like if you make a car now, or this car manufacturer, you can see there's a problem and you make next generation and you fix it. That was because there's something you didn't observe in your first creation, and now you fix it in the second one. But that is not the case with God. God was thorough in his creation and was perfect in his making. So Adam was as perfect as he could be, just the way God wanted him to be. So the implication is that God couldn't have made another generation of people the same as Adam. It's either he made people with lesser humanity than Adam, with reduced rationality, like more robotic humans, which God didn't intend to. For when what God had in mind when he was creating man is someone that would replicate him on earth, like a kind of God, another type of God, a human God, a visible God, say in our own image after our own likeness. So man is very unique and was complete in his ways. So in his way from the beginning. However, the only option again was for God to restore man. Now, to restore man comes with a huge price, because if God were to do that, that means God will now judge man according to his own standard. And my brother, who can who can pass God's standard if God were to judge man according to his standard? Anyway, that is why God had to. When the Bible make the injunction, for God so loved the world, God did not just want to delete man. For if God were to delete man, that means this creation, the package, this thing called man, the idea of making man would be gone. Because there cannot be another God cannot replace man, because he is irreplaceable. He just full. What God would have done is just that close the production of man. So the idea of something like man would just be closed. If God were to make something, it would be more altered versions of man. But we, as we are now, we only needed to be restored because we're full in our state. And in our restoration, we are now going to be judged according to God's level, God's standard. That was why, as difficult as it was, God knew that this was impossible, and he came and did it himself. That's why God did the impossible. What was it? God took on the likeness of man. He took on what I call it, he took on the form of man. God became man that he may save man. I wish you understand this. It's very deep. Well, if you have any question on this, please leave it in the comment section below. God bless you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.